Hey there, avid listeners. Thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Sing Me Forgotten. Let me just say, the ending of this book broke my heart in the best way possible. It's one of those books that really stays with you. It is a young adult fantasy, and it is, my impression of it when I was reading it was, oh, this is totally retelling of Phantom of the Opera. Now, I've never seen Phantom of the Opera, I've never read Phantom of the Opera, but Phantom of the Opera is just one of those things that you know the story of it without actually seeing it or reading it yourself. It's just one of those well-known plots and premises. So I do have to say, I really did enjoy this novel, and I really did think the novel's best quality was not only its pacing, but also its characterization. This was such a well done book. I will say that first quarter of it, and it's not a long book, the first quarter of it is a little slow, but it's still very interesting because the history, the world building, the pre-revolutionary France kind of setting, it really does lure the reader in. It really does ground the reader in. So you're really getting to know who these characters are. You're really getting to know this universe that the author has created through this opening narrative. And I thought it was very well done. As for, and before I go into the characterization, the pacing does skyrocket. I mean, that first quarter might be a little slow pacing wise, but that last quarter, oh my God, the pacing is so intense. The tension is so intense. You're just like sucked in. I can personally tell you that this is a book that I didn't want to put down. I would squeeze in any moment I could to read it, basically. I didn't want it to end. I was at that point where I was like, I need to know what's going to happen next. I need to see what's going to happen next. And I think that just goes with that rising tension, that characterization. But the ending of the book, it's like the author just reached her hand into my chest and tore out my heart. But you know what? It's okay, because I love it when a book makes me feel that. I was just like, no, that can't be the end. No, that was me. I was like, no. I do love a bittersweet ending when it is written really well. It makes sense for the plotline overall, because when you're reading the story, you want the happy ending. But as you're reading it and as the events unfold, the ending of the story, as heartbreaking as it is, makes sense for the overall narrative. Now, as for your characters, your main protagonist, Isla, even when I was reading the book, I was tripping over her name. Our main character, she is compelling. She does a lot of character growth. She is quite extraordinary, to be honest. I do love her dynamic with her fellow characters. I do think her growth is something to be noted because her characterization itself, she goes on such a self-discovering journey. I mean, she's part of, she was abandoned at birth because she is, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of her. She was born with a gift, and they have a name for people with her gift, right? I can't remember the name of it, but people born with her gift, given the history of people born with her gift, you had these 3 women who brought the country to their knees, who were quite malicious and malevolent. People born, ever since that, once they were deposed of, people born with her gift, they are killed at birth. And she was killed at birth. I mean, she was abandoned at birth. She was dropped in a well, but she was found and saved and raised in secret. Phantom of the Opera, she has to wear a mask to cover up the scar on her face that marks her as I think it's Moldova. Gosh, I can't remember. And I didn't write it down in my notes either. Oh, and it was Digital Arc. Digital Arcs expire, in case you don't realize that. So, once it's gone, unfortunately. It is what it is. So, gosh, it's like bugging me now. But in any case, so she has very little, I guess, self-worth. Her guardian, he does shower her with gifts, he does treat her kindly, he does treat her well, but the rest of the country would pretty much kill her if they found out what she was. And that does happen, let me tell you. That's a whole intense scene in itself. But I think it's really great when she meets the other character. And let me just pull up my notes. I thought I had his name, but I just read a book with another E name. So, Emmerich. There we go. I called him Elias in my YouTube video. Too many E names. Or maybe it's the fact that I'm reading 3 books at once. So I should probably stop doing that. But Emmerich, he is good for her in the way that he tells her, like, no, like, you deserve to be treated the same way everyone else does. I like his character, and I like what he brings to the table, and I like the romance that does form between the characters, because it starts off as a really genuine friendship. Certainly has its bumps, but their friendship is very understanding, and to see the romance blossom between them is also really well done. I think it worked. Basically, that's what I'm saying. And it worked for the characterization. And it's part of the reason why, my heart aches when I think about the ending of this book. And man, it was really well done. And I love her journey. I love our main protagonist's journey throughout the novel. I love how formidable and fearsome she becomes so that she can save the people she cares about, so she can save her loved ones. And it's just so intense, that ending. Oh, that whole last quarter, I was like flipping through it. I couldn't put it down, didn't want to put it down. And when I was forced to put it down, I would just pick it right back up, go right back to it. Any moment I could spare to read this book, I read it, because it was well done and it was a well executed story. So I do have to give Sing Me Forgotten 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a really well done story. It really was a well done narrative, and it's one of those books that just, again, the author reached into my chest and ripped out my heart. But in a good way, in a way that was welcoming, and you're just like, why'd you make me care so much about these characters, But that just shows you the strength of the author's writing, I think. So once again, Sing Me Forgotten gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. Please support the author by purchasing the book from your local retailer, preferred bookstore, or online book retailer. Please, all I ask is that you avoid purchasing the book off of Amazon. Amazon does tend to undercut authors, unfortunately. And the best way you can support the author is by giving them a full support. I know money's tight, but that's why libraries exist. Because another way you can support the author is by writing a review of the book. They love reviews. Reviews are basically like free marketing for them. So, please support the author any way you can, and please support your bookstores. You can also support me on Anchor FM with a donation of 99 cents a month, or by just liking this podcast and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.